Welcome, beautiful people. Happy new moon in Cancer, especially for my Cancerians out there. It's our new moon, and it's a special one. Okay, it's a special new moon. So, I was actually just planning on recording the Patreon reading and making this thing just Patreon only content, basically. But I really had like a side message, kind of really just simply connecting to the new moon in Cancer today, and I just felt guided to just kind of put a part of it out on YouTube, and then the rest of the reading basically over on Patreon. I'll just continue over on Patreon. So if you guys are interested in becoming one of my Patreon members, well, a member of the family over there, I would really love to see you guys over there. Just only come when you feel guided to, when you feel connected to my content. Basically, we do minimum a bare the bare minimum. We do a weekly energy check in there, and yeah, if you become a member, I believe you have access to all the content that is already up there and any future content, basically. But I don't really talk that much about my Patreon over here on YouTube. But I would really love to grow the family over there. But just in general, once again, I just mostly wanted to just put a part of the reading out here on YouTube so everybody has access to it. All right. Cancer moon. New moon. This is energy. Obviously, Cancer is ruled by the moon. So by itself, it makes it just a more intense and enhanced energy. I do, however, feel when it comes to this one, it's not necessarily that we are being put in this driver's seat and we can just drive from point A to B straight up into our destination, and we are completely and fully and wholly in control with just knowing exactly the route and just getting in our chariot and driving there, basically. However, I do really feel that there's a lot of like shift and changes around this new moon, and it's a lot of like breakthroughs and having a deeper understanding on like a deeper maternal level almost of yourself, who you are, what your needs are, how you may or may not have been neglected in that sense by either other people or maybe your maternal energy. So maybe your caregiver, a mother archetype. This could be a grandmother, foster care, or just your biological mother in whatever shape or form that is for you. But having a deeper level of understanding how much certain ways and certain, mostly certain ways of you are able to take care of your own needs and be conscious about them and stand strongly in them and have those boundaries, and understanding when you're actually about to cross a boundary versus you crossed it and then you kind of notice that you've crossed one. And mostly connected to the ability that you have to give, and mostly also to yourself, and understanding what you need in order to be that best version, but also to be in connection with your own guidance, in connection with your own divine feminine, regardless if you are a man or a woman. It doesn't matter in this way. It's more your own nurturer and how well you are capable of taking care of yourself when it comes to just you and you. Like, for example, your diet and your sleeping schedules, and understanding yourself in that way. Like what are the needs of your particular body? Like, your body is yours. No one knows your body better than you. And sometimes there's just things that we need to try out and figure out what fits us, what makes us, gives us a lot of energy, what seems to actually work for others but really not for us. And not allowing others necessarily too much to control your viewpoint of yourself and the own wisdom and the own knowledge that you have about you. And that constantly comes back and forth a little bit. Well, that's kind of what I'm channeling when it comes to this energy. It's almost like, regardless if you get any level of validation about how somebody makes you feel, for example, when they say certain things or when they don't say certain things, often it's also, what they don't do that can be painful, and hurtful sometimes. Understanding how can you create this space for yourself and creating this safe space for yourself where you can feel seen, feel like you are entitled basically to feeling the way you feel, regardless of what the outside validation may or may not be. And so it's not necessarily about what the mirror of the world reflects back to us. It's more about what we are reflecting back to ourselves and that connection with ourselves. And that is growing. I really just feel this shift and change. Because the thing is, when you have, for example, a tough connection with someone in whatever way, shape or form, could be any type of relationship or connection with another person, and you might have an issue with expressing yourself. You might have an issue with the fact that they don't know really how to receive when you're truly coming from a place of vulnerability. Really, truly, I'm not trying to attack them, make them feel bad about the situation. It's about, I need to express myself, because if I don't say anything, the other person doesn't know. Then they can't change that behavior. They can be aware. Then I'm just sitting with it. And I just don't believe that that's the grown way of coping with things. I think it's important that you express yourself. And if you then come from that vulnerable space and you just express yourself, and that other person kind of just deflecting basically, or just kind of sort of trying to escape that situation, only receiving it as a form of conflict, and all they want to do is run away from any level of conflict, what you gonna do? Because the importance for you is expressing yourself. Let's say that's very high on the ranking, It's very high on the list. It's just first and foremost expressing yourself, making it known to whoever and to whatever they're doing, that how that makes you feel. That is not about only expressing yourself and getting it out of you. It's about basically giving yourself the validation of your own feelings and emotions, but also making it known, and what the other person then does with that, obviously, and a lot of times lays with them. But there's this ongoing energy of, I need to put it in such a way, I need to use these type of words, maybe I need to say it in this way, maybe I need to write it in a letter, maybe I need to send this voice note, maybe I need to give them a call, maybe I just need to show up, maybe if I can just make them understand that I'm not trying to attack you, I'm just trying to explain to you, I'm just trying to express myself to you. And there is almost like no way for them to then be open to receive it without them feeling either attacked, or without them feeling like it's a unsafe environment for them. They want to run, they want to go away. And then what often happens with the expresser of the feelings and emotions is that they take it back and they try to just solve it all within themselves. So the most important thing that we just had really high up on that list was the expression of feelings and emotions. And with that, giving yourself the validation of that you are worthy of being vulnerable, you're worthy of expressing yourself, you're being worthy of making your voice known, and that it matters. And it's not necessarily coming from a place of only expressing yourself in order for them to change their behavior, for it never to happen again. Obviously, there is a big part of that. But what if that doesn't happen? And I do feel that around this new moon energy, there is this click, there is this, and this doesn't have to happen necessarily today on the 17th. This could definitely also be a couple days after, a couple days before. It's just in the end, it's in the air, and especially as long as we're still in Cancerian season, it's playing itself out. It's almost like this awareness of this is really a limitation, where there is a limitation happening in the breakthrough or the growth that can be had between these two people, right? The one who expresses himself and the one who's in the receiving end. The one who can't necessarily be in the receiving end because for them everything is fight or flight mode. And so it's almost by giving, like I just said, right? Like all this energy you put into, like, but if I can just find the right way, if I can just say it like this, maybe you should say it like that, because I just need them to understand that this really is hurting me. But all they act is like I'm the bad guy for expressing myself, you know? And they're reflecting and deflecting and, you know, trying to dug the situation. And all you're feeling is, hey, now I'm feeling like I'm doing something to them by just simply being vulnerable. So once again, it is important. Your feelings are valid. It is important to express yourself. It is important to have conversations and trying to make, you know, things better, because that's the only way to grow. Regardless of how communication goes, communication is always the key, regardless of how many hurdles and things it will bring about. It is always the only way eventually to growth and out of a situation. Sometimes it's communication with ourselves. Sometimes it's that inner conversation we need to have. Sometimes really that communication with the other person. And sometimes it's the communication that is happening between the lines. And it's in the behavior. And so what I'm sensing with this, like I said, this breakthrough, this change, and that this energy that I'm just sensing around this new moon, it's almost like instead of putting all your energy in trying to make the person receive it and giving you the response that you either, you know, would want, need, expect, could expect, are worthy of, instead putting energy towards, I accept you for the limitation that you have, because you will grow in your own divine timing. Now I just need to put time and energy and invest into where is that bare minimum for me, and can I work on finding ways where there is still this communication, it is still happening, but where I come from a place where I also invite them into that level of vulnerability and that level of validation, and guide them almost into understanding that it's a safe space. And so sometimes we're just not ready to really come into a space where we can accept them, that's just not who they are, that's just not what they naturally can do, that's maybe something we naturally can do, that we would give another person that for us is really logical, for us is really, you know, that's the thing you do, it's good, it's healthy, it's growth, it's healing, it's beautiful, it's building a deeper bond, it's a connection. But if that is really not on the receiving end, so on the other side of that party, how can we come from a place of compassion and patience, but not from a place of complacency, so that we are just going to let it be, right? So there's this nuance that I'm sensing of, all right, this is what I thought, that if I could just find the magical word, I could invite you into this. Apparently, no, there are no magical words. There are no magical ways that I can make you feel safe in this way. So I'm going to stop trying to make you understand what I'm trying to do with this communication. And instead of that, I'm going to just take a little bit back to myself, allowing you to stay in that space where you feel safe, you know. And how I'm going to now put energy and effort towards is finding a way of inviting you in that space and understanding that it's still important for me to express myself, and you will continue to do it in some way, shape, or form. But now finding a way of accepting the other person for just as they are. And what grows in that space is them feeling more safe. And they will try to come more towards you. They will try to express themselves from a different space as well. And you might actually end up with a lot more growth that you can even imagine. Because we're no longer fighting any battles. We are literally winning a war, you know. And we are also learning a new side of ourselves. We also are learning how to develop to become that own, mature and nurturing energy for ourselves, for our own emotions, for our own validations, for our own growth, for our own comfortability, basically, with our own vulnerability. And there's this really nuanced energy that I'm sensing around it. And it's just this moment, almost like, wow, you really just don't know how to do this. We can, you can be like 45 years older than me, but you just really never learned how to feel safe in expressing yourself. So with that also kind of sort of automatically means that you're not comfortable with me expressing myself either. But I am not gonna not express myself, because I'm not gonna get into a comfort zone. There's a comfort zone for you. That's not a comfort zone for me. But I'm willing to give you a little more time in that comfort zone, and in your own time meet me halfway. I don't need you all the way on my side, but I'm definitely not going to continue to walk all the way over to yours in order for you to make you feel safe when I'm hurt by your behavior. Right? So there are new ways that are coming. And that's something that I'm just sensing. It has to do with our way of communications. Maybe you are the person on the other end, I don't know. There is, multiple people listening to this. If you are still listening, because this is just a channel message that I'm really getting. And I know that this is not always for everybody. And not always everybody has the ability or space, headspace sometimes, to go on this channel train that I go on sometimes. But if it clicked with you, if you were on that train with me and you were visualizing what I was trying to express, and there are many nuanced, levels to this. This is definitely not a one size fits all. If you are dealing with a narcissistic, abusive relationship, and then I'm out here, you just have to accept them for the, obviously there are some levels to this, but this is more about seeing someone in their fear. And actually, it could even be a mother archetype in your life. That could still be a 9-year-old child that just never learned how to feel safe, or never had a safe space where expressing your true feelings was in any way, shape, or form beneficial or accepted or seen as something positive or something that could be healing. Some people only experience as it is being damaging or just conflict and disbalance and disharmony energy and as wrong. And so if we are growing into that space, just as much as we may have needed that patience from other people, and we are now maybe growing into that other space, we have to have that patience with the other person. But it's almost a moment of like, I've tried and I tried and I tried and I tried, but now I'm seeing you here in this fear. So I'm looking beyond the emotions and feelings that I'm feeling. I'm looking beyond that for a little bit, and I'm seeing someone who is afraid. And just because someone is afraid doesn't mean they will never move. They will never try. They just need a different approach in order for them to feel that they are ready and that they can step into that space. And in that space you can heal and you can grow and you can learn how to communicate, because you never really will find a way of true communication that will, help you grow through conflicts, because sometimes it just happens, but where both parties feel safe enough to grow and to show up as their authentic self and to express their needs and their feelings. And only if the other becomes really aware of that and there's an equal exchange of that communication, there's so much growth and deeper connection happening there. But if only one party is trying to make that happen and the other person is purely only coming from a place of fear and like trying to block it out because it's something bad in their own, that's the way that they experience it. It's something bad. I did something bad and I don't understand, and I'm running away from this and I don't want this conversation, and it's attacking, or it's scary to me. And then no matter how hard the other person on the other side is trying, everything comes through that filter of fear. And so nothing can truly really reach the other person. And having that understanding from the other side of the scale, then you are still entitled to your feelings. And you don't always necessarily have to set them all aside in order to nurture someone on the other side with fear. They obviously have the responsibility to at one point come out of that shell and at one point start to heal that and start to try to find ways beyond that fear. But we cannot decide when it's time for them. Can you decide for yourself at one point that my time is up and I just can't do it anymore? I can't be in that waiting seat? Of course, that's your free will. There's nothing wrong with that. Nobody tells you anything and you have to do it. But if it's a person that you know is worthy and has a lot of value in your life when it comes to other aspects, and then there's just this aspect, then maybe it's worth putting in that work. But it's like this new moon is like opening something up, and you're able to look at it from a higher perspective, and that's so refreshing. So like you can like breathe underwater almost in a different way. So 24 degrees, it's a Pisces energy. It's a new moon, 24 degrees, so it's like connected to Pisces degrees. And it's like there's changes in the subconscious space. Once again, I feel like we're breathing on the water. And that by itself gives us so much more ability to explore that, underwater without limitations of needing air or needing, to come back up or to carry this really heavy thing on our back, in order to get the oxygen that we need from the above water on land. It's like we have this almost like this viewpoint and this ability without those limitations. And there's a little bit of energetic energy that I'm feeling this week in general. It's almost like you can look beyond, but it doesn't always come through the most comfortable door. Sometimes it's like really like, it's like, oh, these are really small walls. It's like Willy Wonka, right? That movie. It's like you have these really tiny little walls and things, and you're like, oh, it looks really uncomfortable. But then when you come out of that little tiny door, basically, in that gate, like there's this whole garden of everything you ever want to eat. Okay. So the road there is not always the most comfortable and could feel very narrow at times. Like coming through the birth canal. I don't understand. I mean, there's not a lot of people that can really consciously remember that experience, you know. But the mother can. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna ring a bell a couple times, and I'm gonna pick one of this card of the Moonology deck. Sorry. Wow. Can I speak? And then I'm going to head over to Patreon for the rest of the week, and also a little bit more about this Cancerian moon energy. I hope that this was a message that, you know, maybe for a few, even if it just for a few, really activated something. It was not for the biggest collective, but if it found you, it was for you. And you know, obviously if you have something to add, you know, you can always leave a comment or send me an email if there's some insight that you feel like, hey, this makes sense, or this is what I had this week, you know. Obviously always love to hear from you guys. So let's just pick a, there we go. It just jumped out for us. Emotions are running high. Woo! Are they now? 5:55 on the clock. Emotions are running high. It's a super moon, and definitely is. It's a super new moon. Even though we're also getting the super moon in August, it's definitely, this energy is just, it's running high. And so when things are coming to this, almost like this eclipse energy, there is also this moment of complete utter stillness right before it, where you're like, I can really look beyond. It's just like this moment of clarity. It's like the best feeling that's almost can connect it to. I love going, for example, to the sauna, and then after that you have this really ice bath, like this ice cold bath, and I love walking into it, always in my own timing, okay? I go into it in my own timing, but then I can stay in there for like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and just don't feel any cold. And at one point really just have this, but the thing is, the moment where you are becoming so peaceful in that cold water, the clarity that comes in your mind is like, there's no other moment that I can think more clearly when I'm in that cold bath, ice bath. It is an ice bath. So that by itself, like something like that, is like, it's a particular moment, is something that I'm feeling. So all right, I'm gonna ring the bell a couple times and take a couple deep breaths in. Just let's do 4-4-4. Okay, I love doing this one. It's like we take, you know, all the air out of our lungs, and then we breathe in for 4 seconds. We hold the breath for 4 seconds, and we release the breath for 4 seconds, and then we breathe in again for 4 seconds. Okay, so let's just do that together. I'm just gonna ring the bell. And out. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe in for 4, 3, 4. Hold. 3, 4. Out. 3, 4. Hold. And breathe normally. That's one that you can also do for you guys. Like, it's a really nice way of sort of calming down your energy. The number 4 obviously is harmonious energy, and it's the number of Cancerians, and it's a new moon in Cancer. All right, I'm gonna head over to Patreon right now with the rest of this reading, and we're gonna jump into the rest of the week as well and do some tarot over there. So thank you so much if you watched all the way up to here. I know this is just a, you know, a little bit of a random upload, but you know, it's a new moon. It's my new moon as well, and I liked. I wanted to do something different and not ask too many questions in my brain. I just want to go with the flow. All right. I'll see some of you over on Patreon, and for others of you, and especially Aries, Gemini, and Taurus, I'm still working on something for you guys for July. Okay, so that will be up, and I will be back soon, probably sooner than you think, with the August situation. So I love you guys. Happy birthday, Leos, and happy birthday to my Cancerians who are still, you know, their birthday might still be coming up. So I'll talk to you guys later. I love you. Have a beautiful, happy, and amazing new moon in Cancer. Take a bath. Write down your affirmation, especially for my Cancerians out there. And I'm gonna stop rambling now. Okay.